Jenks. Tell me what you know first, but this time I've got something to tell you.
Really? Well, what I found out is that Simon was asked by Ryan to test Kate to see if she was good enough to become prime candidate.
Prime what?
Prime candidate. It's the best of the bunch, the best Atlas student. The prime candidate gets an instant job on a fantastic salary as soon as they leave the course.
And how do they work out who's the best of the bunch?
That's what I'm trying to work out.
Well, that's very interesting. I'll tell you what I know, shall I? That name they used to trade under, Third Eye. Turns out they were investigated 3 years ago over an allegation of physical abuse. Torture, Jenks. Witness had puncture marks through both her hands.
And Atlas weren't charged?
There was nothing to charge them with. The witness inflicted the wounds herself. Witness said it was something called threshold testing, whatever that means. Go figure, as they say in America.
Can I ask the Rands about this?
Well, there's no point. They won't tell you anything, and it'll just put them on the defensive. Just keep chipping away at them. Try and find out what this testing involves. That's the best thing. Get something on them, and you'll be in a better position.
Right. Thank you, Chief.
Nearly there, Jenks.
Couple more questions, if that's okay?
Aha. So, students aren't coerced or bribed in any way, except Kate.
I'm not sure what you mean.
You said you were going to give Kate the £500 as an incentive. That's coercion, isn't it?
I really don't think you could call it coercion, Inspector. It was an incentive, that's all, a little encouragement.
So, how often do you use incentives?
Okay, incentive is probably the wrong word. The money was just to see how Kate would respond. It was part of her assessment.
Assessment?
We have to assess students as they progress. We don't use conventional methods like sitting an exam or anything like that. People pay for this course per session. We have to know if they're committed or not.
So you're assessing their progress and testing their commitment?
Yes, we are. We have to. This is a business, not a charity.
So Ryan's claiming the money was part of Kate's assessment. And did this assessment also involve threshold testing, I wonder? Or was the money for something else?
That's it for the time being, thank you. Ask you a couple more things, please.
Aha. Well, which one is it, Ryan? Do you test students or not?
Well, some of them, yes.
Including Kate?
Yes.
Why was she being tested?
She was being tested because we wanted to see if she was good enough to become prime candidate, okay?
So Kate was in the running to be prime candidate?
Yes!
And did you ask Simon to test her?
Yes, I did. But I didn't ask him to do anything stupid. He knew it was against course rules.
How far did you ask him to push her?
I didn't ask him to push her. I asked him to test her. There's a huge difference. If Simon decided to give her too much caffeine or morphine or whatever, that's his responsibility. So if he did anything wrong, it was his own responsibility. He did it with his own mind and his own hand. We had nothing to do with it.
Midnight, and still no suspect, unless you count everyone I've interviewed. It's no surprise that Ryan wants to avoid any suggestion of being responsible for Kate's death, but I wonder if the man protests just a little too much.
A few more questions, if you don't mind. Was Kate a prime candidate?
Well, as Ryan has probably already told you, yes, she was.
Did you ask Simon to test her?
Yes, it's company policy. Leaders don't get involved.
And it covers your back, of course.
Well, nobody knows the students better than they do, Inspector. It's much better to let them just work it out among themselves.
It isn't very professional to force students to test each other to the point where one of them gets killed, Paul.
We don't force students to do anything that they don't want to do, Inspector.
So you don't force them into being tested?
No, we don't encourage anybody to hurt or offend anybody else here.
You don't use threshold testing, for instance?
No. If Simon Thompson went too far with Kate, that's his responsibility, not ours. He's the one you should be speaking to, if truth be told. I don't trust him myself.
That's all for the moment. Thank you. A few more questions, please. Thank you. Do you know whether Kate was in the running to be prime candidate or not?
I don't, but I do think she would have been chosen just because she was, Kate.
You didn't discuss it with Kate?
No. No, she never talked about this.
Okay, that's it for now. Thank you. How do you think you'd have reacted if you'd found out that Kate had been chosen to be prime candidate?
Was she?
I'm just asking how you think you'd react.
I don't know. I wouldn't react in any way, really. I'm not bothered. I don't think she was, though.
What makes you think that?
Well, it's just an impression I got. She's a bit flaky, to be honest. She's just not really prime candidate material.
Thank you. Probably be back later.
Jenks. Yes, I'm still up. Thanks for asking.
Chief Ryan admitted that he asked Simon to test Kate to see if she was good enough to be prime candidate, but he's throwing it all back on Simon. Says it was up to Simon about how he went about testing her.
Very convenient. What does Paul say?
He pretty much backs Ryan up. He claims they don't do any threshold testing.
Well, that's a load of horse droppings. He knows you're onto him, Jenks, which means you're getting somewhere at last. It's only taken you until midnight, but well done nonetheless. Listen, call me back. I'm watching an old movie, but Christopher Lee's only just turned up, so I'll be here for another hour or so, yeah?
Okay, Chief. I'll call again.
Yeah, bye.
Ask about a few more things, please. Aha. You say you don't endorse threshold testing? That's the phrase, isn't it?
Yes.
Except you do, Paul, because you told me that the students use that CD in the mirror room. I've listened to that CD, and it very clearly mentions threshold testing. You keep batting this away, Paul. We don't really use hypnosis. The students aren't really tested, but I am this close to launching a full-scale investigation.
Look, we get a kickback from these students, and they have to be exceptional. Of course we have to test them. That doesn't mean we do anything illegal. What do you think we do? Bump off the ones we don't like?
Well, that depends on how far you push them, doesn't it?
Well, we certainly don't kill them. Nobody here wanted Kate dead.
I'm sure they didn't. But what do you expect, Paul, when you put students under that much pressure?
She was a very, very valuable student. She was worth a lot to the business.
Really? And how much would that be?
But if you really want to know, 50 grand.
She was worth 50 grand.
Yes.
What, you were selling her?
Of course we were selling her. You don't get this, do you? We make perfect employees. Month after month. That's all we do.
What do you mean, perfect employees?
What big business needs, Inspector, more than anything else, is none of this altruistic, goody-goody crap. What we look for is people with ambition, no ethics. Push, greed is good, all right? We don't deal with all this comfort stuff. The survival of the fittest, that's all there is. There's no higher purpose, no big plan. There's nothing at the end of the rainbow, except what you have and you can enjoy in the here and now.
And what do you enjoy now, Paul?
You're going to have to excuse me, Inspector. I'm a very busy man. I've got work to do.
I'll see myself out. Lovely man, your father.
Shut the gate on your way out.
He's doing his level best to shut this place down. Get rid of him.
He's a policeman. We can't just...
You sort this, Ryan. You man up and you sort it. Tonight.
That doesn't sound good. Two totally morally bankrupt men are plotting to get rid of me. It's midnight. I don't have any backup and I don't even have a mobile phone. This is potentially quite bad. And what's Kyle got to do with it? I think I might make my way over to Atlas while Ryan isn't there. Maybe lock myself in.
Prove to me that you're man enough to do this, Kyle, and then you can deal with that ridiculous police inspector.
What is this? What the hell? Scotland Yard, not hell. Hello, Ryan.
Hello, Inspector. What are you doing here?
Inspecting. So, come on. Let's have it.
I don't think you'd understand, Inspector. The best thing that you can do is turn around, go away, and leave us to it.
Knife.
What?
That knife gives me a perfect right to stick my nose in, investigate, and interfere.
This is all part of the Atlas course. It's a physical endurance exercise.
Drop the knife. The knife, Kyle!
Kyle. Drop it! Drop it.
Not looking 100% brilliant for you, Ryan.
Well, please, Inspector, you've poked your nose into Atlas's affairs enough times to know that imaginative flair is part of the course's success. Our lessons are reinforced by a unique emotional experience.
Terror?
It's an extremely evocative tool.
Well, it's a good job you're not in charge of the national curriculum.
Now look, Inspector, I know what you're trying to do. I know what you're thinking. But believe me, Atlas had nothing to do with the deaths of those people.
Eyewitness account of a satanic sacrifice in the woods. That's not what we call circumstantial evidence, Ryan.
Simon. Now, I saw Simon walking home with Kate last Friday after the meeting. Now, Simon had some strange idea that he was in the running to become prime candidate. Well, a knob of butter has more chance of becoming prime minister. Oh, wait.
So are you telling me that...
Simon killed her? Well, it seems reasonable. It's likely, isn't it?
Any more likely than you, Ryan? Pig! I know. Police brutality. It's all right. Are you okay? Damn. I suppose it was too much to hope that Ryan had left the place open. Couple more questions, if that's okay?
Did Simon mention walking home with anyone after the meeting last Friday?
No, he just came home. Why?
He didn't mention walking home with Kate?
No, definitely not.
Be back later on, if that's okay?
What would you say if I said it's been suggested that you were seen walking home with Kate after Atlas last Friday?
What? By who?
The same person who suggested that you wanted Kate out of the picture because you found out she was in the running to be prime candidate.
Who said that?
Just a question.
I didn't think I was in the running. It was Ryan, wasn't it?
I am in no position to say.
It was Ryan.
Simon, calm down.
No, I can prove it. Kate's driving licence, give it to me.
Why?
Kate's driving licence, please. See that pattern on the tape there? Let me show you something. See this pattern? Now look at that. It's the same pattern. This has come from the same roll of tape as this.
So?
So there's only one person that's tape like that. Ryan. He gave me this piece of tape when I was in his office once. Why has Kate's driving licence got a piece of Ryan's tape on it?
I have no idea, Simon.
Where did you find it?
Oh, by the lake.
It's obvious, isn't it? Ryan was testing her. He was doing a boundary test to see how much she would do, how far she would go to be a prime candidate. But it all went wrong. Okay. It's one of the things we do at the course, right? You give something that's important to you to someone else, then they go and hide it somewhere. It's to teach you to not be bothered when you lose something that's important to you, all right? Kate gives her driving licence to Ryan, Ryan goes and hides it somewhere down the lake. Kate finds out, she goes down looking for it, probably drunk, and she falls in.
I'm afraid I find that a bit far-fetched, Simon.
It makes perfect sense if you know anything at all about how Atlas
But
works.
Simon, if you got the tape from Ryan, Kate could have got it from him.
He told me he doesn't lend it out.
He lent it to you.
But I didn't kill her! Do a lab test on the card. His DNA will be all over it.
And what if yours is all over it?
It won't be. I didn't kill her. I'm sorry. Just give me a minute. I need some painkillers.
Where did he go in such a hurry? Is he trying to act as suspiciously as possible?